welcome back to another Getting Started here at Adobe Live. My name is Kladi and I'm going to be your host today, also learning how to create an E-Zine or interactive publication on InDesign using also the fantastic help of vectors of Adobe Illustrator and stock images. But first of all, let me refresh the chat because that's what I was trying to do. That's why I was like about a minute late, because I really want to see who is live with me here, behance.net/live. And if you're watching from YouTube, make sure to head on behance.net/live in order to be able to watch the chat. Just give me 1 second because it looks like my chat is not displaying for some reason, and I really want to see who is live here with me. So here it is. I'll finally see you guys, and also perhaps I need to mute it because otherwise I'm gonna hear myself twice. And fantastic, I can see Steve Festus. Steve, I missed you yesterday. I was actually talking about our Italian side classes during Adobe Live because we had someone that was being cheeky and typing in Italian in the chat. And also I can see Tim, nice to see you. Kia Ora, Morena, Collective Unconscious. That's so funny. Madeleine, welcome here. Prong, Sean, nice to see you. Carol Pearl, Bila, fantastic and nice to see you guys. Welcome in this session and good morning. I know that many of you are just waking up perhaps. Steve, I believe that you are in New Zealand, so probably it's the end of the day. It's not too late, at least today, if I remember well. I'm streaming from Manchester, UK, where I'm currently, and right here is 3 p.m. So let me know, what time is it where you're from? Is it beginning the day? Are you having your first coffee, or you just have finished having lunch, or it's evening? And I'm also very curious to know every day what sort of like international community we have. Also, I can see Nor, nice to see you. Match, which is Marcus from Dominican Republic, fantastic. And Carol Pearl is here. I'm just looking at your chat. I know you guys are saying hello and just hanging out. Fantastic. So Mateus Fonseca is there. Biola, he says 10:33 a.m. So where are you based, Biola? I believe that might be the East Coast, I believe. Tim is saying, yeah, it's not too late for Steve. Actually, it's quite early. I know usually Steve will keep you up late. But let's get started. I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat. So don't forget, this is a safe space when we're all learning, especially in the getting started. I'm more than happy to dive through all the tools in InDesign and Illustrator. Today we're going to be starting in InDesign, then jump on Adobe Stock, and then of course work in Illustrator. And if there is any question, or if I go too fast, or something that you want me to repeat, this is the space where you can ask anything that you want regarding the workspace, the workflow, the tools, the techniques. Feel free to ask. And if for whatever reason I'm busy working and I don't see your questions, make sure to perhaps put it again in the chat so I'll be able to pick it up. Also, Tim is gonna be our fantastic help in the chat, so you can also give him a shout in the chat. And again, if you're writing on YouTube, because I can see with the corner of my eye the YouTube chat moving, make sure to head on behance.net/live, so I will be able to read your comments and reply to your questions. I can see Biola is from Brooklyn, fantastic. So we know that it's 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. in Brooklyn. Steve Save is 2:30 a.m. Oh, it's early. Oh, it's really early. Carol Pearl, Miami Beach, correct. And who else we have? Brooklyn, Tom. And Steve is already on Thursday, so you're already almost ready for next stream of tomorrow. That's so funny. Steve, you are amazing. Always super, super keen in following. So hopefully I'm going to make this stream entertaining enough to keep you awake. And for those of you, hopefully it's going to be a good way of starting the day as well. Madeleine is an hour later. She's in Germany. So thank you so much for joining me. It's fantastic to have everyone from all different locations. Akankasha, hope I pronounced that right, and I apologize if I don't, is pointing out my background. Well, that's a fantastic way to start, because this background is actually the image that we're going to be using and editing from Adobe Stock in Illustrator and then using for our publication. But in order to have a better understanding of what we're doing, I'm going to jump into our resources. Actually, I can see people still popping up in the chat. So I'm actually gonna give you like maybe another minute just to join and say hello before I direct you into our assets and to show you what we're going to be doing. And while you guys are coming in joining the stream, I'm going to have a look at the schedule, because this is just the beginning of a fantastic day at Adobe Live. As you know, we are very busy here and with many streamers from, I will say, all over the world. I'm here in the UK. I know Paul Trani should be in Denver, and he's actually gonna jump right in with a Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge at 9 a.m. Pacific time. There will be the 5 p.m. here in Manchester, in UK, in this time zone, which is British summertime. And then we will have, after the 30 minutes of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, we will have Anna Devinscore joining us with her fantastic character design and illustration, one definitely not to miss. And after some more fun in the second challenge of the day with Andrew Hockradle with the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, followed by video editing with Puno from I Love Creatives. And then Jesse Showalter is going to introduce you to the XD Daily Creative Challenge, followed by the end of the day, lovely stream with Alice Lee Doodle Therapy. So I really hope you stick around for all this fantastic stream. And I'm going to go on back in the chat and see, I can see more people were joining in from Florida, India, Kushik from India. Fantastic. Victor is asking, are print publications still relevant? I'm sure they are. But today we are going to be jumping into an e-publication. So a publication that is meant to be displayed online, and usually they are built for iPad or desktop. So we're going to be looking at a fixed online publication, so a fixed layout EPUB, and online publication, online sharing through InDesign. So this is the hot topic of today. And if you want to see a little bit more, Tim is already there. I don't even need to say it. Tim, you're so cool. You have to, if you want to have a look at what we're doing and perhaps get some assets in order to join and work with me, or maybe work in your own time later on, the best place to start is heading on my website on the link. Just click on the link that the team has placed in the chat, which is iamkladi.com/resources. And once you head there, you just have to scroll down and you will see that matching the background, we have our designing an E-Zine, which is the title of today's stream. And of course, it's in the same description, but also we have a link that I just created while I was creating this test, and also the assets folder, which is going to bring you into a Dropbox file that contains different sort of assets. One is a video that I placed there. It's a video of me talking, so I mean you're kind of used to me talking, so I just thought, you know, I could share that with you, and you perhaps use it as a MP4 just in case you don't have any access to an MP4. You have one there, and some text. That's actually the press release of my book, and the starter file in InDesign. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and have a look at what we're going to be creating. So this is what I was having a play with, just to make sure that I was covering some nice. Oh, so sorry. I'm reading. I'm reading the message from team. So later today, Paul Trani will do a draw along. So did I misspelled or misread the schedule? Team, let me know. Let us know, because I was just reading the schedule, which I believe was for today. But let me know, and please, yes, do correct me if there is anything wrong that I said regarding the schedule. But talking about today's stream, so this is what we're going to be creating, a publication that can be shared online, either as an iBook, so an e-publication that we can open on our Mac on iBook, or an online link. Oh, you're right. I got the old schedule from yesterday. Let's see if I can fix that for everyone. Here we go. Magic. So team, thank you so much for reminding me. I just needed to switch layer, and here we are here. So I think that's a better look of the schedule. We're still gonna have the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge after me, then photo compositing with Ollie Rosenstone, and then Illustrator Creative Challenge. The challenges are still the same. So one with Paul Trani, one in Andrew Ockradle in Illustrator, and then 3D and ER with J Master, and then XD Daily Creative Challenge with Jesse Showalter, Draw Along, and then Design Off with Woodval versus Tyler Pate. Is that the correct one, team? Thank you so much for telling me that wasn't the right one, so I could actually switch. I'm gonna just like show you this schedule, but you can also find more just below here on behance.net/live. You have the full schedule, which is the correct one, which I believe is this one like that. And Kasha says, happens. Yes, I know. So I'm so glad that team pointed out, so we had the chance to actually see the correct one. Fantastic. And now we can jump back into my laptop. Thank you so much, team. Thank you again. We're gonna go over this towards the end of the stream, so don't worry. If you're interested to see what's coming up after me during the day, we can always jump back on the schedule. Now that I got the right one for the day. Fantastic. So as I was saying, this is the publication that we're gonna aim to create in during this time together. And the index is empty because I don't know if we're going to be able to create a table of content. I'm going to do my best to squeeze as much knowledge as possible, and also we're going to learn how to build in, first of all, video, and that's why I provided the MP4, so you can see, you can actually play the video. And I'm gonna pause it just because otherwise it's got my voice going on again. And we can also learn how to create buttons like this one. So as you can see, we're actually creating almost a slideshow. So we're gonna create an E-Zine, but imagine if this becomes your portfolio. So you can include videos, you can include perhaps, if you wanna show, if you just want to have 10 pages in order to be very concise and you want to show multiple images, this is a fantastic way to perhaps just have different titles, and then you can literally create almost a navigation, but those are called buttons. And we're going to learn how to work with them in this interactive publication with InDesign. Victor Flavius in the chat is asking, is saying, I ask because I see many publications having a hard time between digital and print. Well, we're talking, as you can see here, we're going to be using as content of our publication, my book. I'm a big fan of design for print, so I will absolutely say print will survive. There is a fantastic experience in dealing with print publication, but also online is getting more and more space, and of course with everyone being always on their phone or on their tablet, it will be very very interesting to perhaps have both. So I never suggest to do online only. I always suggest to design with print in mind, but of course online will allow you to have more interactive elements, like for example the video or the navigation. But again, there are pros in both depending on your output, but definitely both print and web are relevant for sure. I'm a big print fan. There is nothing that can replace the experience of a tactile printed element, as much as there is nothing that can replace an interactive element. So they're both pretty awesome, Victor, and that's an actual really good question. So again, once you head to my resources page, you can click on the link and have a look at the publication so you can explore it yourself, and maybe take it as a reference while we'll build it. Fantastic. So I think that we can get started. Hopefully you have already downloaded your started file. If you haven't, we can build our started file together. And also, just before we leave my website here, if you want, I send resources. There are also some freebies if you do subscribe now. I believe there are some business cards, some print material in InDesign, so also they will be very useful for you, and you can find plenty of other free stuff, and everything is for free here. So it says that Kladi doesn't spam because I don't place resources very often, but at least every couple months I try to keep it up. Steve is agreeing with me. Steve, I remember that you have printing background, if I remember well. So let me know if I remember wrong. But I remember we were doing another layout session stream, and you told me that you had some background work in InDesign. So let's open our fantastic InDesign here. Andrew Fumagalli is saying, howdy, I'm working on InDesign sorts at the moment, eager for the info. Fantastic. Hopefully you will find this content very useful. Okay, so I'm gonna get started here by opening InDesign and actually opening a new document. So this is how your InDesign should look like. Of course, I have all my recent files here. You probably don't see all the same images below, but what you will definitely see is our Create New button. Once you click on Create New, you'll be able to open a new document. And as you can see, it took a second for me to open a document because I have preview ticked. So I'm gonna untick it and close it for now to see if I can actually go back and show you how does it look like when you don't have a preview. Let's see, I don't know if you have to create a new, oh no, perfect. It works fantastically. So once we click on Create New, we open the new document panels. And also I wanna know in the chat, how many of you are completely newbies to InDesign, because that is gonna allow me to understand how deep I'm gonna go with my explanation of the basics. And by the way, this is some like hibiscus, I believe, tea. So I had some question regarding my red drinks before. It's an Adobe red drink, but in reality, it's just hibiscus. I believe it's just like a flower tea. Fantastic. So when we open our new document panel, what we need to really focus on and understand is the intent, because that will allow us to save so much time and to have InDesign helping us structure the document much quickly. So, for example, if we click on print, you see that the units change into millimeters or inches, depending on where you are in the world. And also we're gonna have our color settings in CMYK, which is cyan, yellow, black, and CMYK. As you can tell, I'm dyslexic, but it's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, which are the main color used for printing. And also the resolution will be set at 300 dots per inches. Well, if we change into web, we're gonna have some sizes, which are already the sizes of web pages and the resolution that are most commonly used for web. And also our units are gonna change into pixels, because those are the units that we have when we create pixels. So when we create documents for the web. So our little units are the pixels, because we are going to be displaying on screen. And in fact, also our color range is going to change into RGB. Then if we click on mobile, which is what we're going to do today, we have more option. The unit stays into pixels because again, we're going to be working with screens. In this case, I'm going to select the iPad Pro, perhaps the 12.9 inches. And the reason why I do that is because I tend to select the wider format, so the larger screen. I tend to build for the larger resolution, so it will always be better rather to shrink rather than scale, and perhaps looks pixelated or not of a very good quality. Vela is saying hello, hello today, Kladi. Great to see you again. I'm late. It's okay, Vela. We're just really tapping in InDesign and how to open the document. John Eric, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, lurking from the shadows. Nice to see that you're here. Marcus is saying not new, long time user, and Steve and Sir Sean are having some fun. Nori sipping tea, just like me. And I begin Wauda 12 is saying hello from Mongolia. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for being here. Fantastic. So for today's project, click on create new and then set your intent to mobile. Then all you have to do is select the size that you wish. I advise to start with the larger size. So iPad Pro 12.9 inches is the one that will do for me. But if you know that your user are going to be watching mainly on iPhone or on Samsung or on Microsoft Surface Pro, you can just select whichever one you want. Then I'm gonna untick primary text frame because I'm not gonna be using those today. They will allow you to have a main text that will overflow in different pages. We don't need that today. I'm gonna set the number of pages to 3 just because unfortunately we are not gonna have the time to explore a full E-Zine, zine or zine, let me know. I would probably say zine, like magazine. And then I'm gonna play with some margins. So I'm going to click on the down pointing arrow here. And I'm gonna click on this little link in order to unlink those settings so we can change them one by one. Because look what happens if we keep them linked and I change, for example, just the top, they all change. But if I unlink them, I'm gonna go back and I, for example, use here 120 at the top and 120 at the bottom, and of course those are pixels, and then we can have maybe 80 at the left and right margin. Fantastic. And if you want to see what you're actually creating and just to have an idea, maybe you're not sure, you can always click on preview and ta-da! InDesign actually opens a preview of the file that will allow you to see the changes live. So for example, if I think that probably 180 is not enough, I want to do 100 pixels, I can actually modify that here and we can see that it changes live in our preview. Fantastic. So perhaps what I will do, I will also add 12 columns, and here they are. And I'm going to make the gutter, which is the space in between my column, a little bit wider, perhaps like 40 pixel should do, or maybe a little bit less, let's say 30 pixels. Fantastic. So we already created our layout. Biola is asking, how do I figure out what margin to use? That's a very good question. So that's completely up to you. Of course, before we realize any publication, it is very important to understand which sort of content we have, how much text, and if we have a lot of images. If, for example, is a photographic book or an illustration book, I will tend to have the margin very close to the edges, so they are not going to be because you can put the images like right out to the end of the actual trim line, so the end of your page. But for example, if you're working for a print document, I will definitely leave a safe margin zone. So that's when you really have to worry about your margin. I will say with digital publication, you have a little bit more flexibility because you're going to display the pages, but you always want to make sure that, for example, your top margin doesn't fall a little too low, so when it opens on an iPad you can read the title. So we're going to see that even if we, for example, want to place the title in the middle of the page, you want to keep an eye on the fact that is on that towards the higher end of the middle rather than the bottom, just so when you open your document, the eye of the line gets to read the document, or if you open it on a smaller device, you don't just see an empty space. So again, it depends on the final output. Something that is worth to consider also if you create some documents for print regarding the margin is that you want to make the inner margin always larger than the outer margin. And I'm just going to show you why. And I know we're going to jump back into the InDesign in a second, but as I say, I'm a print geek. So I have here my notebook, but the reason why I was saying that if you print, you want to give more margin is because you need to leave the space for the glue and for the book binding. So actually when you're going to open your book, the inside is going to be hidden of the page. So look, we have all this, oops, I have a pen. We have all this space that is going to be actually tucked into our binding. So that's how you figure out your margin. And otherwise, I would just say, just use a safe space in order to give some breathing area around. And again, that completely changes depending on the output. So if it's a photographic image, you can leave more breathing space. If there is text, you don't want to go too narrow. Or maybe you can think of actually creating a layout with just one column, and then you can really push those margin in. So completely, just a little bit of planning ahead. It's very important depending on the content. Fantastic. Now, before we create our document, I want to show you how to save your presets. So I'm going to call this one EPUB. And then, so EPUB stands for e-publication. And then all I have to do is to click on this little down pointing arrow in order to save the preset. And I'm going to call it EPUB again. And click on Save Preset. Now you can directly jump into Save. So when you open your InDesign home, and instead of just setting the intent and setting the size, you can just click on Save and click on your EPUB. So every time that you're going to start a publication, all you have to do is to select the correct one. And once you select it, click on Create, and it will open the new document. Now, here it is. Let me just show you again. Let's see if I created the correct one. Probably it's going to take a second because he's actually saved. Here it is. So if we're going to saved, e-publication, and click on create, we should be able to open a new untitled document, just like so. Fantastic. Here it is. So we have our 3 pages here. And the first one is for the cover. Beautiful. So I'm going to actually start to work with the starter file. That is the one that you guys have, so you can have an idea of how to work with the file that you've been given, because you just have 1 page. And I think that is very interesting to understand also how to duplicate page. I know that there are many of you know how to use InDesign, but this is a getting started. So I want to make sure that for those of you that don't know, they have no problem to understand how to do so. So if you're working with the starter file, which I just have 1 single page, all you have to do is simply click here on this little icon under the pages panel in order to create a new page. And you can do that as many times as you want. Fantastic. So another thing that I want to talk about when we realize, when we create any publication, is InDesign workspace. So Vale is asking a question in the chat, and I'm going to take a second to read it because it's quite nice and big. Okay, so Vale is asking if E-Zines are made available for download, for sales. What are some example that he has done? Oh, he's actually asking a question to Steve. Fantastic. So Steve, I'm going to let you take care of that question. I'm just going to give some few information. So online sharing. So when we, for example, the one that I shared and I showed you before here, let's jump back into our EPUB. So those are hosted into an Adobe server. So those are not for sale, and those are online shared documents. While if we talk about e-publication, which we can open on our books app, for example, like this one, those can be for sale, but they need to set certain standards. So you, for example, can have it for sale on iTunes or on Amazon, but you need to make sure that you ask them first which are their restriction in terms of format. Also, the majority of, for example, Kindle publication need to be a reflow e-publication, which basically means that it's not a fixed layout, and that's something that you really want to look into if you're looking to sell your publication. For now, we're talking about free stuff. Everyone likes some free freebies, so I'm going to show you how to share it for free. Of course, there are many ways in which you can embed the link and have it downloadable for a fee. You can always create that, but you can create that for your own, perhaps, website. If you're dealing with Amazon or with iTunes, always double check with them what sort of specification they need for their file. But I can see Steve is already giving you plenty of information. Fantastic. Andreas Allers, nice to see you here. Don't worry, we're just starting with InDesign, and we're going to go back to our margin. And what I want to show you is how to set up the working our workspace and how to customize it for specifically interactive e-publication in order to save time, make sure that we understand the panel that we're going to need, and we're not going to waste time scrambling around for missing panels, or perhaps we're going to be confused by panels that we don't absolutely need. Michelle, nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm gonna go here under where it says digital publishing and click on the down pointing arrow and set it back to essential, which is the usual little essential panel that InDesign is gonna give you once you open an InDesign file for the first time. So if you're opening InDesign for the first time and you made no changes, that's perhaps the way that it looks for you. And let me show you how you can create your very own publication one. So the first thing that I will do is perhaps to, again, click here on the down pointing arrow where it says essential, and I'm going to zoom in and click on the down pointing arrow. And then I'm going to go ahead and select digital publishing. So as you can see, when you click on the down pointing arrow, there are so many different options that InDesign already gives you, and you can decide to use them as they are, or you can further customize it. So for example, as you can see, this one over here was the one that I was using and is the one that I customized, and I'm going to show you how to customize it. So and also to reset it. So I haven't saved this one, so I'm going to show you first how to save it because I don't want to lose this one that I just created. So in order to create a change it and save a specific way of displaying your workspace, and this goes down even to if you want the panel to be collapsed, or if you want the icons, you can, all you have to do is again click on the down pointing arrow and click on new workspace, and then I'm going to call this one Kladi EPUB, so I know that that's going to be my version of the digital publication, and then click on OK. And as you can see, I have created a new workspace here. So now if I go back to digital publishing and then go back to reset digital publishing, you will see exactly what you perhaps have on your computer when you see when you use digital publishing. Before was an edited version that's why I wanted to save it, because already customized. But now I want to show you how to customize your own, and specifically I want to show you which panels are very important to use. Steve Festor is saying that Terry White interviewed the maker of the plugin about a month ago at the end of my stream. And I will put the link there for Terry's episode. Yeah, that will be amazing. Thank you so much. Steve saying that there's a new third-party plugin for InDesign that makes it totally interactive beyond even what a PDF can do online. It's called IN5. Fantastic. Yeah, where is your moderator badge? I agree. Please make that link clickable, and actually, Steve, if you don't mind, just send it to me as well. A good way of linked with me, if you haven't done so already, is on Instagram. So you can perhaps send me a message here. I will definitely love to see that link, Steve, because probably this chat is going to disappear after I finish streaming. So I will absolutely love to have that link, and you can find me on Instagram at @IamKladi. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. But now let's go back into our workspace. So as you can see, we have different action here in the panels, and I'm going to zoom in for you to have a look. We have our pages, links, and layers that we definitely want. Then we have color that maybe we're not going to use, and the best way to close and delete the panel that we're not going to use is to right click and click on close, and the panel will disappear. We definitely want to click a stroke. We don't necessarily want to create a gradient, so I'm going to close that. We definitely want our swatches, and we definitely want our CC libraries. But I'm actually going to bring the CC libraries up in our layers panel, and I'm going to also bring these pages in. So as you can see, it's super easy to reset your workspace. All you have to do is to click and drag. So here we're starting to set all the element of the page and the assets. So we have our link, our pages, our layers, and of course our CC libraries. And here we're going to start to create more in terms of editing elements. So we have our strokes, we have our colors. Something that we can add here are paragraph styles and character styles. And if you don't know what those are, don't worry, we're going to go through them in just a second. So in order to bring any panel up, so if perhaps I'm mentioning the panels or I'm going too fast and you cannot find it, remember, every single panel is located under the main window menu at the top of your document. And once you choose the window menu, then you'll be able to bring up all the different panel. And the paragraph style and the character styles are nested under styles. So once you click styles and then select just one of them, they just come together because they're usually very, very useful together. And we're going to talk about why in a second. And I bring those into my little column just to keep everything nice and neat, so we can change the strokes, colors, character style, paragraph styles. And here I'm going to start to build something regarding the animation. So we definitely want media in. We don't need the pre-flight, so I can right click and close it. We definitely want hyperlinks. We definitely want some buttons and forms, and we're going to talk about that today. We don't want the liquid layout, so I can close it. Same for the color theme. We want the object states and timing. And I think that those are the basic that we're going to be covering today. Oops. Let me bring the animation in as well. And something that I always find very useful is the properties panel. So that's something that I always keep on the side, because the properties panel will change depending on the element that we're going to be creating. So if we play with text, it's going to have all the options for the text. Same for shapes, same for images. And it's very handy just to make some quick changes. It is a very new edition. I believe it came out with InDesign 2020, and it was probably was already there. It just got a little bit better in terms of the different options that are in there. I'm sure it was the properties panel has been there for a while, but I think that in the latest edition of InDesign CC 2020, it just been brought up a notch with more detailed information here. So at the moment, as you can see, we have no elements selected, so it's giving us specification for the document, so we can perhaps change the document size, if it's a facing pages, the number of pages, and the margin. Everything can be edited here in without even accessing the document settings anywhere else. So Steve saying that he just tucked in my Instagram with a message. Thank you so much, Steve. I look forward to see that plugin. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and start to create some content. So we're going to be creating this Zine. I'm going to call it plans because the main content that I had access was some content that I created, and I decided to share with you because it was pretty much of public knowledge a few years back when I published my book Plant Therapy. So you'll be able to find the Word document in that folder. And again, if you don't know where to find it, Tim has placed a link in the chat, so just go ahead and find it on iamkladi.com/resources. It's just a Word document. And the fantastic thing about InDesign is that if you do have a Word document, all you have to do is to click and drag, and all you have to do, as you can see, is load it already. So all the text of your document, you don't have to open Word at all. You don't even need to have Word in your computer. All you need to have is the Word file, and all you have to do is to select it and then drag it in. And as you can see, it's already loaded, so we can see a little preview here. And all you have to do is to click once wherever you want, and it's going to be dropped into your InDesign file. Now I'm going to zoom in because it's a little small, the text, but we can get some information. As you can see, this is a very basic press release with information from my book that we're going to be using in order to create the article. So I'm actually going to click and drag in order to copy this text into our second page. And I'm going to place it outside our margin area. So look what happens if I press W into our from our keyboard. Our preview mode will kick in, so we're just going to see our pages and we're not going to see our working space. In order to see it again, press W and you can see awesome hidden space here on the pasteboard. I'm not sure, Tim, probably you can correct me. I'm not sure if it's called pasteboard. I know that it's called, this area is called pasteboard in Illustrator. Let's go into our preferences because now I'm very curious to see what is called. Usually in the interface, it's called pasteboard. Fantastic. So match pasteboard to the theme color. Here it is. So it's definitely called pasteboard in InDesign as well. Sorry, a little bit of geekness here. And since we're here, I want to show you from the preferences that you can also change the appearance of your panel. So I don't know exactly which is the one that is a standard, but I know that I like everything to be very dark because I spend a lot of time on the computer, so I enjoy a lot of contrast. So again, if you want to see how to bring up this preference panel, all you have to do is to click on InDesign and then preference, or you can simply use the shortcut Command K, which is of course for Mac. Otherwise for Windows is Control K, and it will bring up this preference panel. And the little tab that I was working with is interface, and you can see the appearance of the color theme. Alberto, what's up? Nice to see you here, my friend. Nice to see you here. I don't know if you were here before. I just saw you right now, but hello. I know you're having a little laugh with everyone. Team is saying, oh my God, it's Alberto. Yeah. I love our community. You guys are my friends. You kept me so much company during lockdown. I think I was doing some DCC or some other stream. But fantastic. Nice to see you here. I'm always very happy to see so many familiar faces. And of course, don't be shy. If it's your first time joining in, keep those comments coming, say hi. We are a super friendly, open community, and we welcome everyone that is joining here for the first time. Again, so hopefully you've chose the little interface that you prefer. I'm gonna go ahead and keep my dark theme because otherwise I'll feel lost. And when you select the one that you want, just click on OK. Now I'm gonna go ahead and press the letter T in order to access my type tool. You can also find our type tool here on the top of our toolbar, and I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it looks like a little big T, a big T, and all you have to do is to click once and then click once inside of your text frame and press Command A to select all your text. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna give it a bit of a change in type, and as you can see I can do that from my properties panel. So all I did is press Command A on Mac, that's Control A, in order to select the text, and then under properties panel we can go ahead and just kind of make it bigger. Maybe 60 is a little bit too much. 36 is fine. At the moment we just need to read the text because we are going to copy and paste some element of the text. And again, I gave this text for you to play, so you can actually choose and have a look and play with it, and you can have some real text to work with and perhaps play with the same sort of spacing and editing that I will be doing on this layout. I'm always curious to see what's going on in the chat. Tom LaRock is saying East Coast representing with Kladi. Hello, how's it going? What else? Color Pearl. Everything Comcast on Monday. Everything great there. Okay, so here in Manchester, guys, it's actually been a sunny day, which is very unusual. But I know that it's very hot in many regions in the States right now. So fantastic. Right, let's keep going. I'll get distracted from the chat. I like to chat with you. So team, make sure that you keep me on track with time as well, because I have so much stuff to show, and we're nearly just already 45 minutes before the end of this stream, before Paul Trani comes in with a Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge just right after this stream. Fantastic. So we have our text, we have our layout. It's time now to create and bring in some images for our cover. That's completely up to you. You can create a cover at the beginning or at the end, but the reason why I want to jump into creating the cover is because I want to show you how to leverage the Adobe Stock illustrations and also how to edit them in Illustrator. So let's go ahead and select our Creative Cloud libraries. And this looks like a little tiny. I'm gonna make it bigger. And also I can go ahead and search my Adobe Stock library. So we're talking about plants. All you have to do once you open your CC Libraries panel is insert some keywords. So for example here, plants, and then illustration, because I just want an illustration for my background, as my book is mainly an illustrated book, so I want to use some illustration. Now, in order to specify the use of illustration, and in particular vector illustration, all you have to do is to click on the down pointing arrow under filters and select vectors. That will allow you to use Adobe Stock service within InDesign, so basically you don't have to distract yourself and go anywhere else. And also it will allow to have Adobe Stock creating already a filtered of images. So here we have a plant illustration, but also all of those files are vector files, and you can click on a little plus in order to add them to your libraries, or click on the little cart in order to purchase them. First thing that I'm gonna do now, before we keep going with these fantastic assets, is to create a new library that we'll be able to use. So I'm gonna click on this down pointing arrow and then go to the end of this little panel where it says create new library, and I'm gonna call this one EPUB. Oh, actually I'm gonna call it E-Zine. Oops, Zine. Can't spell. Here we go. And then I'm gonna click on create in order to create a new library, and as you can see is empty at the moment, but we're going to start to import some images. And again, I'm going to keep going, and as you can see, Adobe Stock is keeping our recent search. So if we click on plant illustration and we make sure that we have our vector selected, here it is, we get back in order to see our Illustrator vector files here, and you can choose whatever you want. This one, it looks so colorful. So I don't know if we can perhaps do a new one. I'm going to do a new one and also use the one that I've used before, just so you can have a look and how to download and license a file. Now remember, if you're just using a file just to have a look, maybe you're not sure, you just want to show your client, you do not have to license it. All you have to do is to click on this big plus icon, and it just comes straight away into your libraries. And then in order to use it, all you have to do is to drag it into your page and click, and it will be a preview that you can also scale and use. At the moment, I just scale the frame in order to fit the image into the frame. You can use the fantastic shortcut Shift Option Command E. That's Shift Alt Control E on Windows. And as you can see, the image will fill our frame. And again, you can do the same even also. So if you scale just the frame, which is the blue line, you can do it again, Shift Option Command E, boom, and the graphic is going to be fit to the frame. But what happens if we actually want to use, so our client or we decided, or our art director decided that this is the illustration that we're going to be using for our work? Well, fantastic. Then we can always go back into our CC Libraries panel and click on the cart icon in order to license the image. Now Adobe Stock is going to ask me if I really want to license it and use one of my credits, and I click on OK, and fantastic, that's done. Now, as you can see, we don't have the watermark anymore, and we'll be able to scale it because of course it's a fantastic vector, so it's not going to lose any sharpness in the image. But most importantly, look what happens if we double click into the library items. We can actually open the design and work with it in many details. So if, for example, we can change the color, so let's change this gradient. I believe that's the gradient. Oops, Adobe Illustrator is not fully into my page. Let me just make sure that I got Adobe Illustrator filling in the page so we don't get confused with the menu in InDesign. Here it is. So we can perhaps double click on the image and make all of those of a different color. So if we select them, click on the properties panel here in Illustrator, and then click on fill, we can simply select one color that we want, and we can change all those images into one color. And I'm gonna double click again into these different groups. And right now I'm just doing this as an example. I'm gonna go back into our previous file so you guys can have the same result. Okay, I just want to do like a bigger change so you guys have an idea of the way it works. Then all you have to do is to press Command S in order to save. Adobe Illustrator is asking if it's okay to save, and then look what happens when we go back into our Illustrator file. The file is already updated, and the reason why is because it's linked to our libraries, so it's already embedded, and anytime that we're going to make a change, it's going to actually change live into our InDesign. Isn't that amazing? Fantastic. So I'm going to actually delete this image. So I'm going to select it and then click on delete. And I'm going to show you another way to access Adobe Stock images, and in particular a session of image. Vale is asking, will this session be available for review after this live? Yes, it will be available for replay on both Adobe Live or on my website, iamkladi.com/video, and also on YouTube under the Creative Cloud YouTube account. Fantastic. So I want to share with you something very exciting. Team, don't share the link because it's not live yet, but I want to share a preview for those of you that are watching me. So I have this page that is coming along for Max. Max is going to be happening towards the end of October, and I have few session plans, one in Photoshop using Photoshop and Illustrator, and here a fantastic preview, but also I'm going to have one session in print layout and design. But most importantly, you will have access to some curated collection on Adobe Stock, and some of them particulars are in vectors. So I'm going to have some curated images and some curated stock vectors. So if you have a look here, I can give you a little preview of some of the stock that we're going to be using, because the image that I've used today is actually from this collection. I hope that I can find it right now. Here it is. As you can see, it says licensed because I used it for my design. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I also wanted to give you the chance to perhaps use the same graphic. So what I'm gonna do is to copy this file number here and paste it into our chat. Let's see. So you'll be able to just search it directly. And now I'm gonna have 2 Kladis showing up here. Make sure that I mute my computer. And here it is. I just pasted in the chat. This is the number of the file that we're gonna be using today, that I'm gonna be using for this background. And as you can see from Adobe Stock, we can always save it to our library as well. So if I click to save to library, at the moment is going into this 00-Kladi library, which is not the library that I'd intended. Remember, the library that we created was called EPUB. So all I'm going to do is to click on manage and find my EPUB between my E-Zine, that's how we call it. Here it is, I seen it. E-Zine, and as you can see, it's gonna be moved to this library that we just created. So if you want, all you have to do is to go on Adobe Stock, and then you can just search, paste the number of the file that I've pasted in the chat for you, and it will come up. So if you want, you'll be able to play with this file and add it to your library. But don't forget, during Adobe Max, there's gonna be a full collection that's been curated by the fantastic Adobe Stock team for our sessions. But I decided to give you a quick preview and also to give you a preview of a file that is gonna be in use. Fantastic. So now we're going to go back into our InDesign file, and here it is. Our fashionable seamless floral pattern is there. And something else that I'm going to do is to start to bring in some of the other images that I'm going to use. And I haven't shared those with you. You can find them on my website, perhaps on Printmysoul, or if you just search Plant Therapy Kladi, you'll be able to find some of those images. Those are images from my book, and as you can see here, they're just preview. They're just some mock-ups of the book. And by the way, tomorrow we're going to talk about mock-ups, although I'm not sure. Let me know if you want to do a book mock-up or an iPad mock-up. Or we can do both. Let me know. Tomorrow we're going to be working with InDesign and Photoshop, so let me know which one you want to work with. So I'm going to make sure that I get one that has got a dark page and a clear page, and look what happens. If I go back into my in my InDesign and I have my Creative Cloud open, if I have also my folder open here, oops, let's make sure that this one, our Creative Cloud is open. So I can show you another way in which you can import assets, which is simply dragging it into your library. Oh, I need to expand them. Here it is. Hopefully now it's gonna stay. For some reason it's collapsing. Probably team can help me with that. It never happened before. Usually when I use libraries, it always stays up. What I've done now is open that and put it next to my properties. Let's see if like that consolidating we'll be able to have it. Fantastic. So what I did here is to place my CC Libraries panel next to my properties panel, so is not collapsed, because every time that I was going into my folder it was collapsing. And the reason why I wanted to show you how to have it open while we have a folder open from your computer is because I wanted to show you that all you have to do is to click on your file and drag it into your InDesign library, and it will be added into your library, available in all your app connected to Creative Cloud, into your Creative Cloud account. So I'm going to do the same and start to add some more pages. One of them I wanted to have both blue spreads, and that just because it's going to help us with our button in just a second. And then I'm also going to add the front and back cover. Fantastic. So I've added some images, and something else that we can do with our images is then to bring them in. And look what happened. I'm going to start to by bringing in this spread, just click and drag, and we're going to have some of these lovely colors showing up here. But look what happened if you want to pick up these colors, we have an eyedropper option here into InDesign in our toolbar. If you click and hold into our eyedropper tool, we have our color theme tool, which is absolutely fantastic. And if you click once into your image, it's gonna pick up the color from any photo. Isn't that mind-blowing? So it's an eyedropper that picks up each single color from your images and creates a color palette that then with one click you can add into your library. So look what happened. If I click on this second little icon here, boom, it becomes a little colorful palette that you can use for anything else that in your publication and in your InDesign layout. And we're going to use it for the text and for any other elements. But also, if we go back to our swatches panel, look what happens. Those are our swatches right now. But if we click on this first icon of our little color picker, it adds the colorful theme here. Look how fantastic is that. Such a great time saver. And you can also keep it floating, or you can perhaps just close the tab as you prefer. That's absolutely up to you. I like to keep it around just because then, as I said, I'm going to use it for the text. Fantastic. So I'm going to put the image on the second page for now because I'm not going to use it into the main spread. And then I'm going to go back here and work on my cover. So as I said, for the cover, I'm going to use the fashionable illustration that we just downloaded from our assets. And all I have to do in order to make sure that we match the color that we're using, I'm going to double click on the fashionable example, and Adobe is saying that is gonna scale the symbols. I'm gonna say yes, don't worry about it, and here it is. So this was also the image that I was using for my main landing. Let me just jump back into my main landing for a second. Here it is the same background that I have here. So how did I get it to change in the same color that we're using for our publication? Well, very simple. Once I open my file, all I have to do is to use our fantastic magic wand, which is a tool that you really want to become familiar with in Illustrator. And then I'm going to click once into one of the color, and the magic wand is going to select all the color which have all the elements that have the same appearance. So instead of going and selecting each single orange leaf, all I've done again is clicking on the magic wand tool and click once. And by the way, if you weren't following the stream yesterday and perhaps you're just getting started, if you don't see the magic wand tool when you open Illustrator, all you have to do is to click on the three dots here at the bottom of the toolbar. Let me zoom in. And then make sure that you select this little flyout menu and select advanced. Otherwise, your menu is going to look like that. But we just want to make sure that it's advanced so we can see our super friendly tool, the magic wand. Now, once we select the color with the magic wand, all we have to do is to go back to our color and select the pink color for our leaves. And then I believe I made the other one blue. So I'm gonna go back and click on this little stroke, and as you can see, the stroke is green and the other color is this sort of white color. So I just want to change it into pure white. So I'm just gonna click and change it to the white that we're going to be using for our publication, which is actually more of a gray. And then click on the letter X to swap in between fill and a stroke over here, and we'll be able to change our green stroke into blue. Fantastic. I don't remember if I kept the other leaves green or if I made them blue. Let me go back and see what I've done into my publication over here. Oh yes, I kept them green. Fantastic. I think I was working with a slightly different green, but now we picked the color palette from the color. Fantastic. So once you're done, make sure to pick the green as well and select the green that we're going to use in our publication, so everything looks nice and consistent. And look what happened. The reason why it's not changing is because I still had my stroke selected, so I want to make sure that I had the backslash in order to make the stroke invisible. You can also click on this little icon to have no stroke, and then click on X to swap again and select the fill, and now we can go ahead and select the green color. Fantastic. Now we can save by pressing Command S and click on OK. in order to create this new document. And we can also, as you can see already from this little preview, that is change the color. So when we go back into our InDesign, we already have this new graphic with the color that we just created. And all we have to do is to use our little Shift Option Command and click and drag on the box in order to resize it, just like so. Now, the reason why we click and we press on all these little bottom, a little key in order to resize it is because we want to resize it proportionally, and that's the reason why we hold Shift. Then we want to resize it starting from the center, and that's why we hold the Option key on Mac. That's Alt on Window. Fantastic. And also Command, because we want to resize not only the frame, because otherwise look what happened. The frames change, but not the size of the content. So I want to make sure that I resize everything. And in this case, we're going to resize the frame and the content, resize it from the center, and also scale it proportionally. Fantastic. Now that I finished scaling, I can just drag on the frame box in order to make sure that it covers our cover page. And then I'm going to click on the circle and create one circle here where we're going to be placing our title. And once we create under circle, we can go back and select the color from our color themes, because we're going to keep everything nice and tidy. And then I'm going to click on, press Option on our keyboard, that's Alt on Windows, and drag to create a copy. And perhaps I'm going to click on the previous one and make it pink and have the one on top gray. Then I can click on the first shape, hold the Shift key and select the other one and press on Command G to group them. So then we can move them around much easily. Fantastic. So now that we have we're starting to create more elements, I just want to make sure that we create also some layers. So we can also have some more freedom here. So I'm going to click on our layers, and you can create a new layers by clicking on this icon at the bottom, and I'm going to call this one background. Then I'm going to bring this one, dragging it underneath, so I know that the background is going to stay at the back. And if I open on by clicking on the down pointing arrow, this top layer, which is the main content, we know that we have this little fashion illustration. As you can see, if I click on the side, it's going to also highlight it on our layout, on our artboard. And I'm going to click and drag it into my background. So look what happened. Oops, here it is. So at the moment, our little background is there, and that will allow me to lock it. So once you click on the layers panel, again, if you do not see the layers panel, go under Windows and layers, and you'll be able to see your layers panel here. You have these two options. One is for the visibility, so that's how you hide your background, or that's how you show it, and then lock it. And by locking it, we will be able to play around with the circle and make a selection without moving the background. Fantastic. So it's now time to start to use the type tool in order to create our content. And I gotta run fast because we got 30 minutes. I can't believe it. I wish this lesson were a little bit longer so I can show you all the amazing things. But don't worry, we're gonna be together tomorrow as well. And if you're still keen perhaps to learn how to create a table of contents, I think we can do that tomorrow. Briley, hi, nice to see you. I don't know what's going on. I see you guys are chatting about Illustrator and Max. My mom is here. Hi mom, Julie, nice to see you. Oh, she's so cute. She's got a photo profile of me and my dad and little tiny Kladi is there. That's really funny. Fantastic. Vele saying thanks so much, Kladi. Looking forward to watching the replay entirely. She's got a duty calls. Hi Vele, thank you so much for joining. Don't worry, you can always watch the full stream afterwards with the replay. Steve is asking also, anyone register for Max early wins a free car. I'm not sure this information is real, but on the topic, if you do want to register to my sessions, all you have to do is to head back to my Instagram profile, and I actually left a link over there. So if you go on Instagram and then go on I am Kladi, you already have the link to my Max sessions. Otherwise, you can and here they are. So you can find the session and you can add it to your schedule. And in order to do so, all you will have to do is to, I believe, log in with your Adobe ID, or you can just go on max.adobe.com and then looking for the session and just perhaps type Kladi, and it will show up with all the session that I have there. My portal might look a little bit different because I'm a speaker. I'm not sure, but that's definitely the right link. They'll be able to allow you to see my session and register for my Max session in both Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. Fantastic, but let's keep going and let's tackle these paragraph styles. So I'm going to click on the type tool and click once in order to create a text box, and then I'm going to type the word plants, and I'm going to zoom in because it looks super tiny. So plants, then I'm going to hit return and I'm going to write issue 01 and then the month, which is September. Oops, can't type, and I'm dyslexic as well. September 2020. Fantastic. So we have our text. Let's start styling it. I'm going to start by plants. So I'm going to head into my properties panel, and a font that I'm using from our typekit Adobe font is called Hono. I find it super funny. It's literally OHNO. You can find it here, or also you can go on fonts.adobe.com, which maybe is worth showing to everyone since we are sharing. So fonts.adobe.com, and you can activate it. You can also activate it directly into your InDesign. Sorry, I had to quickly log in. Again, all you have to do is search Oh No, and here it is. It will bring the entire Oh No family here, and you'll be able to download it and sync it up. Okay, so let's go back into our InDesign and again search here under the properties panel our character and set it to Hono, and I believe is oops, where did it go? Hono Fat Face number 24. That's the one that we're going to be using, and I'm going to set the title to perhaps, let's see, 60. Let's zoom out. That's definitely too small. Let's see, 120 is starting to look nice. And again, probably 200 is the right choice. Fantastic. So now that I've selected the font character, then I'm going to select the color, and can go back into my libraries and simply click on my pink to have exactly the same pink and keep everything consistent. And also I want to make sure that there is some space from the text below. So I cannot really see that right now because the rest of the text is so small, so we're going to tackle that in a second. But for now, let's click on plant in order to make sure that we save these all these changes as a paragraph styles. We can always go back and change it at any time, and I'm going to show you how to do that also in a second. So let's head back on our properties panel with our type tool selected and our type in so our type that is already styled. All we have to do is to click here on this little paragraph style icon, which I'm going to zoom in. Here it is. Click once and then click into paragraph styles. You can also simply access the paragraph styles because we've been super neat and organized with our workspace, so we already have it there. Whatever you prefer. The most important thing is to open it and then click on this little plus icon in order to create a new style. And I'm going to double click and name it title. And then click OK for now. So we just saved all these settings. So for example, if we wanted September 2020 to look exactly the same, all we have to do is to click on title, whoops, and perhaps make our text box bigger so we can read it. And again, you can also do that by using a shortcut option command C, which is Alt Control C on Windows. But that's looking way too big for our dates. So in this case, I'm going to make our date way smaller. So we're going to edit that to perhaps, I think 30 points is looking good. And we're going to change the color into green. So we can also access our color here from our swatches panel, or again, always go back and access the color here from our color themes from our libraries. Now that we've created this other style, all you have to do is to click on this plus to create a new one and name it date. And if you perhaps want to change it, make it a little bit smaller, you can always go back here into basic character and change the size, and make sure that you click your on your preview in order to see that change is taking place live, and click on OK. And I'm going to do the same with the issues. So in this case, I'm going to use a different font. I'm a big fan of Dean. So I'm just going to use Dean Light, and I'm going to give it a weight perhaps of, let's see, so it looks nice and tidy, of 56. And I'm going to click on this little icon in order to have all caps. Let's make it a little bigger so it matches our September 2020. And I'm going to go into my Creative Cloud libraries to access the color and make it also pink. Fantastic. This is going to allow me now to have a better look on the way that the title looks like. So we can head into our title paragraph style, double click to access the panel. And once we go to indents and spacing, we can start to play with the space after. So as you can see, if we bring up the space after to perhaps 25 or 30, is gonna make the space between this paragraph style and the one that follows much larger, giving some breathing space and allowing us to really focus on the title. And I perhaps even make it 35. Now I'm looking at the time, and because we're already learning how to play with paragraph styles, I'm gonna jump right away into how create some interactive mode. So in order to adapt our text frame to our text, again, the shortcut is Option Command C. And as you can see, it just brings it up. And you can also move and change your size here by dragging this text box. Here it is. And we can also align it to our circle. Fantastic. So it looks like it's taking shape. And now what we want to do is to start to play with some content. I'm going to ignore the text at the moment, just because it's basically repeating exactly the same what we were doing for the title. So change the settings. Hopefully we're going to get to that. But what is most important is that I show you how to create buttons and interactive elements, because this is really what makes the difference into e-publication and online sharing. Biola say, do you use a baseline grid? I'm not a fan of baseline grid, just because I never started to use it when I was working with a designer from the very beginning. So I just think it's a question of habits, although it's very, very useful if you're perhaps working with magazine and you want to make sure that all the text is aligned. Fantastic. But let's focus into our button creation now. So I'm going to leave some space here on the left for our text. And at the moment, I'm just going to use that as a placeholder. Perhaps we're going to use our text up to here. And then we're going to use this other side just for the images. So I'm going to go back and click on our type and click and drag to create a new text box. And I'm going to call this one, I'm going to type in watch interview. It's so tiny, we cannot see it. Here it is. Watch interview. So we know that that's where we're going to be placing the video. And then I'm going to perhaps give it the same style as the date. Let's see. It looks a little bit smaller. So what we can do here is to go back into our properties panel and change the size to perhaps, let's say 50. It looks nice and bold so we can see it. And also we can change the color to blue. And then we can create a new paragraph style, because otherwise looks what happened. It created a little plus, which is telling us you just override this date style. Yes, because we're going to create another one. And I'm going to call this one subtitles 2. And I'm going to click on OK. And as you can see, we have saved our new settings here. So if I want to create a new text box with the same sort of formatting, all I have to do is to click and create a new, in order to create a new text box. And I'm gonna right here take a peek inside. Let me zoom in inside just to make sure that I spell it correctly. And this is where we're gonna be placing our buttons. So I'm gonna click here on subtitle 2, and here it is. It already formatted the text as we wanted. Great. I'm gonna place this one right here. Fantastic. Again, use the option Command C in order to make sure that our text frame is of the same size of the text. And I really want to show you how to use those buttons here. So I'm going to bring the first image over here, and then I'm going to drag and bring our second image. And I want to make sure that they are the same size. So I'm going to go back into my properties panel, and I can see I can make this one perhaps 800 pixel, and then use the Shift Option Command E to make sure that the image fits the frame. And I'm gonna do the same here, 800 pixels. Now make sure that the little link is selected so we can actually change the size proportionally. Okay, so I'm gonna actually create a new text, and I'm gonna call this one mixed pages. And I'm gonna double click to change the size into something that is visible. Let's see, for example, I'm gonna start by our date. Let's see, did we save a style for our issue? No, we didn't. So let's save it so we can use that one. I'm gonna save this one and call it issue, so we can base it on our issue style. Fantastic. So once we go here, we can click on issue and then just simply make it smaller, like let's say maybe 30 points. Fantastic. So we got one that is called mixed page, and then I'm going to create another one. And remember, they need to be different frames, which is going to be blue pages. And again, I'm going fast because the time is going too fast here, and we just have like 10 minutes to show you this, which is super important. Okay, so now all we have to do is to use our button and forms panel, which you can find over here. And all you have to do is to start by selecting our first image, select the type of button, and I'm going to select button, and then make sure that I click hidden until triggered. And then I'm going to do the same here with the other, and also name it. That's very important to name it, so because we're going to create more than one. So I'm going to create this one mixed pages, and then I'm going to click on the other one, and I'm going to also create a button, and I'm going to call it blue pages, and also make sure that is hidden until triggered. Then I'm going to go back into my libraries and bring in my front and back cover. I want to make sure that the size of this one is also 800 pixels, and then Shift Option Command E to fit into frame. And I'm going to go ahead and select it as a button. I'm going to call this one cover. And then this one, I'm not going to select it hide until hidden because I want to display as first. And I'm going to have to also create a new little text frame that says cover. So all I did there was selected with my selection tool and then Alt Option in order to duplicate. Fantastic. So now I have my cover button, my little mixed page, and my blue pages. Fantastic. All I have to do now is to create a new button that will allow us to display this button at the right time. And I'm going to perhaps just do it with 2 because of the time. So I'm going to click on cover and select button. And in this case, I'm going to add an action by clicking on the little plus and click here, show hide buttons and forms. So this is the action that is going to perform. And in this case, is going to definitely hide. So we're going to double click on mixed page. We're going to click the visibility here so until the little eye display on the cover. And we are going to call this one show cover. And we are going to also hide the blue pages over here. Fantastic. So once we're done, we are going to do the same here for our mixed page. We're going to call it button. We're going to also say show mixed pages. And then click on the action, show and hide buttons. And in this case, we're just going to show the mixed page. Oops. Click once to show, and then double click to hide. And we're not going to do anything with the show cover. And we're going to, and that's the other bottom file, which is just create a show mixed pages. Fantastic. So look what happens here. what I want to do is to click and select all these elements, and then make sure that we align it to selection and left align it. And then I'm going to click once into my cover to make sure that is the one that we're going to be using as a reference, and also align to the top. Here they are, so they will all display in the same order. And then if we click into our preview, let's see if I actually have it here into interactive. EPUB interactivity preview, we can actually see what's going on in the page here. So if you click on play, we will have a preview, and we can see that if we click on cover, we go on the cover, and if we click on our, let me zoom in for you to see, click on cover, it goes into the cover, and if we click on mixed pages, it goes into the mixed pages. Time is really running out. I promise I'm going to keep going tomorrow on this, because I know that many of you are really interested into this sort of interactivities. Something that I want to show you is also how to change the state. So perhaps how we can make this one change colors. So once you click on selected, then let's go back into the button of forms. All you have to do is to click here under appearance on rollover, and this is going to create another state for the text. Then double click on it and select it, and we can perhaps make it dark green. And look what happens here. So if we now go into our preview, because our, oops, let's go back into our selection tool and make sure that it's selected. Our normal state is going to be pink, but when we roll over, it's going to be green. So let's head back into our preview mode. Or actually, let's save directly and see what happens here. One more minute to show you what to do with the videos. It's super easy. Let's go back into our folder where we add the video that I shared with you. It's an MP4. This is one of the best formats. HD MP4 is even best. Look what I have to do. Click and drag from my folder, and it's loaded directly, and is also embedded. And you can also resize it as you wish. Now make sure to hold shift to resize it proportionally. And here it is. We can perhaps just place it there. I know this is not the best of layout, but unfortunately I wanted to show you way too many things. Fantastic. So now that we're done, I'm gonna move this text out, because we're gonna style it tomorrow. And I'm gonna start by exporting this file as an EPUB by going under File, Export, and then I'm gonna create EPUB with fixed layout. You can find it by clicking on this down pointing arrow here, EPUB for layout, and I'm gonna put it on my desktop. Here it is, and I'm gonna click on Save and OK. So look what happens here. It's going to take a second to writing all the JPEG. It's telling me that the light cannot be embedded, but here it is. It's actually opening directly into our Books app here, and we can navigate the pages, and most importantly, oops, we can see our page number 2, where we can play the video, and also we can navigate our images. And look what happened. It actually create the change of state for our page. So if we roll over, if we go over, we can click on it and change, and we can apply that to all the different links. But Tim is saying already, Sia, is it time to say goodbye already? Unfortunately, probably it is. So I'll catch up tomorrow with you guys, and I'll show you how to style further the text. We start just from here. Thank you so much for joining me. And of course, after me, just maybe a quick jump in the schedule for a quick recap. Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge is coming up with Paul Trani, and then all those amazing people over here. I'm just gonna move so you can see them all, which you can also find below. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow at the same time. We're gonna pick up from here and then also do a fantastic mock-up in Photoshop. Do I still have a minute? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. For those of you that are curious to see how did I generate the link, all you have to do is to click here on this little link here in share, and then use the publish online. But don't worry, I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow. For now, it's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this stream, and I will definitely see you tomorrow with more InDesign and Photoshop. Goodbye everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye.